Alright, hey there everyone, and welcome back to Corey Loses, where today we're going to be continuing our map making from last week. So we're going to be working on the Ega Minor map. In the first stream we did of this, we just did some rough layouts for all the terrain. I've done a little bit of smoothing out since that stream, so you'll notice there's a bit more terrain variation over here. This little cliff has been smoothed out. I've done some stuff to the mountains to add in some extra detail to that and make it less just one giant clump of stuff. Still a lot of work to be done on that, but it is better than it was. So we are gonna get back into just probably working a little bit more on some of the props and textures and stuff today. I want to start placing probably a few trees, that kind of thing, and we'll work on that. So I think what we'll start off with, I just want to get the, where is it? Markers. So we're going to get the attacker entry position set up. So you go to markers, you get the reinforcement point. Let's do +5 cap. Place that. I think we'll have it start just right where the AT-AT is. We'll get rid of that one because we don't really need it for scale anymore. And you want to have your entry position marker. So this is how the game knows where to put stuff. So attacker entry position, this is where the attacker's first unit will show up. And you want to put that right on top of the reinforcement point so that it'll start captured. So let's also make sure that this is neutral. Nope, neutral. There we go. All right, so you there's something Bob actually showed me a little while ago to give I think he gave it an attack range or something so that you can see the actual radius of where stuff can drop, but we want to make sure that we don't have anything that would block you from bringing in troops right at the front. You know what, I'm actually going to move this stuff back a little more to here. And we'll get a little bit of texture variance in around where this is. Because you don't want all the grass to look the same. You have to kind of be careful with it so you don't end up with too much just random crap, but you want to have different variations in basically as much of the map as possible so that it looks natural and not just like a simple tiling texture. And also, like usual, I'm doing this stream on both Twitch and YouTube, so if you prefer one platform over the other, then you can go to that one. I'm going to move the chat box back up over here, though. There we go. This is the Empire War map editor. If you just Google Forces of Corruption Empire War map editor, you should find it. Right now, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure how it actually works with the Steam version because the Steam version of Empire War did change. So it sometimes has trouble the installer finding your actual exe, and it complains a bit, but I'm not sure how to fix that yet. And there's other stuff like this ground cover, which is how you get some more 3D looking grass. So you've got some like that, you've got some flowery ones. This is more, which one was it? No, that's green. This is the brown one. So this one, it kind of looks more like wheat if you're doing kind of farmland. But the rest are either like regular grass or flowers, like I said. Then there's the Felucia one, which is a lot thicker. It's the Felucia style flowers. Let's see if I can... I don't know how well you guys can see that, but not even the right one. Here we go. So you want to be kind of careful when using those as well, because that much like extra billboarding stuff, it can cause some performance issues if you have it everywhere. But I do want to work on mostly right up here, where we're going to have, I'm going to have a couple tree... What did I do? Get over here. Let's get this cliff a little bit different down on this side. And we're going to work on some of the water as well. So where do we have the pebble texture? No, that's not what we want. Sand. I want to get some like dirt near the end of the near the edge of the water. But I especially want to get the pebbles. There is a pebble texture, and I don't want to have to go searching through all of the files for it. I think it's like river rock or something. Tile rock, sand, riverbed. Yeah, that's closer to what I was looking for. So we'll put that all under the water. Okay, and that's going to go into there. I just want to avoid having like a bunch of grass that's coming out of the water in places that don't make as much sense. Like you can get some of the ground cover is kind of like cattails, and that makes sense, but this other stuff, not so much. And because we are doing this under the water, I want to this, and I'm going to stop this water from rendering right now so that we can edit the texture and have it update properly. Because if you might have noticed when you have the water on, you can see what its past state was, but you're not seeing it update when we're painting like that. So we're going to turn that back off to none, and we'll finish getting the texturing done just under the water. And because it is underwater, it's not going to have as much variance, but still needs to have something that makes a bit more sense. Okay. I don't like the height variations down here as well, but I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. A little bit better. So back to water. And this is if you want to have like an acid swamp or something, you can just do it like that. But it's mostly used to adjust kind of the tint of the water from the light. So you can get like tar, acid with green, Kool-Aid with red. I do want it to be slightly bluer than it is by default though. Alright, so back to what we were doing. Scale you down. Oh, that's not what I was doing. I need this. So I kind of want to go and look at Wayland again. So we have that right there. Just to show kind of what, because I'm not as good as Petrolith was at this, so I'm just going to show you kind of what we're working on here. So you can see how they use some of the ground covers, how they use some of the textures. And this is the entry position, so they have a lot of that coming up out of the water. They have some of the different textures there. I'm going to turn the water off here so you can see what that looks like under there again. See how they used basically the same textures I did, and they've got some other rocks that go along the edge. So we're going to try to match that a little bit. And which texture is that? That's this one, I think? No. Just want to find out. That one could work. Okay, so it's that one and that one. So let's go back to Yaga Minor. We're not going to save our changes to that map because that is not our map. Anyways, this one right here, they had kind of coming up out of the water. So we're going to do a little bit of a layer there. And you want to go and kind of do a little extra detail work after, but I just want to get, like we were doing with the height, kind of it blocked out so we can sort of see what the plan is overall. YOLO, this is for... This is for Imperial Civil War and Fall of the Republic. So, yeah, we just want to have... No, I'm not going to do it consistently around the edge there. Just have it through most of the areas. And this is also an area where you can use some of the different brushes. So if you have the noise brush, you can add little patches without it going everywhere, without it taking forever. We'll go back to the original one, and we'll do a little bit on the other side as well, especially coming up this hill. All right, so that already looks a little bit better. Still not great, but we're on the way. And this is a wheat texture, so we don't want that. No wheat on this planet. I mean, there probably is somewhere, but... I don't want to have giant patches of this one, but I'm gonna add a little bit of this brown gravel. It doesn't match the best with some of the textures we're already using. Let's see. But it is nice. It makes it look a little bit damper around some of the areas. So, oh, if you're working with like concrete, let's go see if there's any. Do we have concrete here? Yeah. So, if you're doing concrete, you wouldn't generally want kind of that soft transition between the different textures. So what you can do for that is there's an option here called hard edge, which, as it implies, gives it a hard edge. And that is set not by the brush, but by the texture. So you only want to use, like, if you want to have like an instance of this texture without the hard edge and then another with the hard edge, for whatever reason, then you'd have to go to a blank space and load up another copy of the texture. Let's say it was that one. You can even get the matching bump texture. That's actually pretty close to what it was. And you can have one with the hard edge, then you have one with a soft edge. But we don't want the hard edge anyways. So there you go. That's roughly how that works. I think I put that stuff a little bit too high, so it looks like the water is no longer actually over. There we go. So that's good. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we increase with vision that some of it might stay, some of it'll probably change a little bit. It depends on how tedious ground battles in general are. I like having the more vision right now because they are fairly tedious. And then as we try to reduce that, we might reduce the amount of vision you get. But let's check out the water settings here. It's kind of a bluish and the greenish thing. Because I am kind of trying to copy the environment settings from Wayland. And like the better you get at it, the more you can just sort of go off of what feels right to you. But I'm not good enough at it yet, so I'm mostly trying to use this as a guide. You know, let's go. And yeah, so I don't know if you were here, Edward, when I said it and everything, but this is going to be used in both ICW and Fall of the Republic. So let's say that. What are the nature settings on this one? I'm gonna actually save this one because we do want this one. And okay, we already have that one implanted, right? Nature mode. Yeah, so this is the one we have set up. And for the water, this one was actually more of a greenish. It was lighter. There we go. And we'll turn off the fog again, which is how we get to that. Because it's not fantastic working on it when there's all the fog there. Little patches of the rock. We're kind of heading towards having too much just random crap, and I don't like that, so might just top even back again into Wayland to see what's going on there. So I'd rather get it right than waste time on it. Right, so it's kind of going along paths like that, and then there's more of that. A lot of the ground cover as well. Okay, so there is a lot of reliance on ground cover with that. And bigger patches of everything. So cliff, that wasn't what it was. We'll go with this one for ours. All right. And those weird messy flower ones. So let's check what that enabled. Looks a little bit better. We'll leave the fog on for this, just so we can sort of see what the ultimate end product's going to look like. And let's get some ground cover. Left one there. I want those darker ones, maybe a few of the flowers in here. Where are the cattails? I think it's a separate crop, yeah, so cattails right here. We're gonna put a bunch of those just in the... more on the edge than anything, but still in and around everything. And if you're doing a really heavily forested area, there's a prop here called Temperate Canopy. So that just puts in kind of the tree leaves without any branches. Yeah, this is still a Jaeger miner. And I doubt we'll use too much of that right now because we're gonna have some foresty areas, but it's not gonna be that heavy. Let's put this in here. I'm gonna get a couple trees in this area. Maple 1, Maple 2, so let's get rid of the Maple 1 so that we get a little bit of variance in them. There's that. And we'll put a couple rocks around them as well. So where do we have some rocks? The cluster. That one there. That one there. Especially around the water, we're going to put a lot of extra rocks. There we go. And we'll try to rotate them just so that it doesn't all look the same as well. Because sometimes it'll clip a bit more with the terrain in different ways, which is actually a good thing because then it'll look like they're more varied in how many different types you have. We'll put a bunch of them over in the area where you're going to be crossing. So I'm going to try to keep the crossing relatively narrow there. Not super narrow, so it doesn't just become like a death zone, but we don't want to have the whole thing accessible. All right. Can I just add that to the... I haven't used the list in a while, but... no, I'll just... So, we'll add that to the list. Now you can add all these to the list. Spray tool, use a list. Hold on, no, I have, is that, yeah. There. Yeah, you can get the randomized objects from the list there, but part of that is going to be a little bit too much. So we don't want this one quite there. Let's rotate. I want to have that as kind of an outcropping from here. So have that. Angle it this way. There. That was a little bit too high, so let's get it down a little bit. Nope. There. So just a bunch of different orientations can help make it look like some guy in a program didn't go around and place them, which is ultimately what is actually true. Yeah, the reflection settings. Generally do that at the end when they're all placed, but all right. It's a little bit better off. Let's go back to placing some trees, different wheat. That still looks too much like wheat to me. I want to put a little bit of ground cover in with trees, and I'll get another rock in under some of them. I don't like that ground cover with these textures, actually. Really wish we had more options done for that. This one should be okay. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. I'm going to change some of the textures around the cattails. So having the cattails come directly out of the rocky bits doesn't look very real to me. And I kind of want to use the river rocks to note where people can actually cross them. Not entirely, but just so that there's a bit more of a visual indication of what's actually going on there. And that's pretty good. Alright, so got a decent start on those. And then I want to add in little, like, not valleys exactly, but little little outcroppings with trees and all that on these mountains and cliffs and stuff, which will help that help make that look a little bit better. I've got a little, the infantry only path is going to go through here, and there'll be some more of that stuff on there as well. So let's do a little bit of work getting that path looking more like an actual thing. Alright, so that's a little bit better. I'm gonna have a couple areas where this texture goes between some of the other main ones. Yeah, height maps can speed it up a bit, but I felt like for the actual terrain, since this is my first one in so long, I'd rather go and do it by hand. Alright, so we got, especially, even if I'm just mostly copying Wayland as far as the actual nature settings go, but seems like a good way to get back into it. So this part right here is a bit more cliffy, so let's Cliffy B. Let's do, yeah, that one looks a little bit better. Blend it in a little bit with so what we got going on over here. And we'll probably have a bunch of trees kind of lining the foot of the mountain there as well, just to blend it in a little bit more with the path and have it hide the fact that the intersection there as far as the actual terrain goes isn't great. I really wish there were better ways to set up like different levels of water and stuff in this game. Unfortunately, all you really have to work with are this particle. Where is it? Particle. And I'm sure we'd be able to do something with additional particles and everything, but if we were to put more time into that, creating those, but I've asked if Father Public Development has begun. Yeah, it's semi-playable right now, but like a lot of it right now is just organizing the stuff that was already in ICW. So I've got like a test GC, I've got the 2 factions set up, that kind of thing. Well, most of the team is still working on other ICW fixes or taking a break because that wasn't. It was a lot of work getting 2.2 done. Oh, top spray is in the temperate props? Thank you. There it is. So yeah, this thing here, which you can sort of use to drop in there. Let's just, probably won't actually do that, but actually maybe we will. But you kind of have to fake it with particles like this. And then you do have to be careful with performance with that. It's one of the things that this is usually used for is if you have a pipe. So that's what I was actually thinking for this base. We'd have, let's go with, I think it's in urban. Temproc props. Generic? Okay, yeah. So there's really large pipes, which isn't quite what we want. Jesus. Yeah, you can kind of see you'd like put this out here. I'm not going to use that. And then you kind of align the water props with that. And that's how that would work. But we're not. I kind of want to set this up as another little tree tiered area. We use that in a few places. I can't remember off the top of my head any that has a significant waterfall, but originally actually the Yavin one did. When I become a tester. So we actually have on the forums basically a running semi-open beta. Right now we're testing some of Ethan stuff. That's our main focus with stuff to fix for 2.2.5. It's the same way that we did the open testing before the release, and then we'll slowly be pulling people in from that. I knew it was big. I didn't think it would be that big. But okay, so let's go with back to our cheat sheet. And I might do a little bit of an interior lake or pond area like that as well. We're kind of going for a similar effect here. You don't really have that much going on in some of these areas. What I'd really like to do first, let's get this, let's go with about that intensity, that height, and reduce the smooth weight a little bit. Use another little hill in here to kind of break up the area. Is there a way to make custom props? So yeah, anything, we've made a few, and we've also got some that was one of the few things we actually traded with Republic at War, where we made a bunch of like lights and other stuff, and then Xerox gave us some of his like, I think we use them on Borleus and that kind of thing. But if you model them, code them in, texture them, you can use new props. Let's scale this up a little bit again. There we go. That's not bad. So that gives us a way to break up some of the stuff in here. Let's get our rocks back. Put a few along the base of the hill. We'll work on this little area between the edge of the map and kind of the starting location a little bit. I might have to switch these out. Wasn't using the reflection ones. Yeah, you kind of have to use the same, all the same programs that you'd use to put a unit in. There we go. And it won't matter, like we'll be a little bit less clean over here. We're kind of just, that's only visible if people are tilting their camera out that way. So you still want to have stuff out there. Anything off the edge of this yellow bit. Speaking of mapping, the Moose Farm map has a castle next to a lava fall. Is that an intentional Easter egg? No, well, it was basically designed around Vader's castle by Rogue. So that is intentionally like Vader's castle. We don't just want... Okay, I'm going to clear the object list again. We're going to get... For these guys, let's say... Maple 0, Maple 1, Maple 2, Maple 3, and... Do we want... yeah, let's add in some deciduous trees. Not the Endor ones, though. So that there's a bit more randomization, a bit more variation. We decided to make a mod based on the old sequels. The old sequels. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Yeah, I guess I'm just showing how Canadian I am with the maple trees, like Echo said. I didn't think about that. My cover's blown. Nope, that's double. There we go. You can get a couple extra trees kind of in the middle there. That was 2, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, did it again. Don't want it too close to the water. Alright, so that's probably good for now. We'll just go back to some of the rocks. With the rocks, I do prefer... Oh, here we go. The other ground robbers. They're in here. In the forest. Clear the object list. I knew there were more. They were hiding from me. Yeah, I like the yellow flowers a bit better. Again, I don't want to go too overboard with the ground covers. But I do want a fair amount of them, just to keep it interesting. The Legends version of Poke. Well, that was... When we originally started Thrawn's Revenge, we were covering pretty much everything. So we had a Clone Wars mod, Galactic Civil War mod, which was so the first one we were supposed to do was the Galactic Civil War mod rather. Then Release 2 was supposed to be the post-Endor stuff that Imperial Civil War is. And then Release 3 was supposed to be the Clone Wars, and Release 4 was going to be the Vong War. But eventually we just sort of shut down the other ones and moved to... Like, we shut down the Galactic Civil War mod, and... Because we figured it would be kind of similar to the post-Endor mod, so we'd rather do just one of them. And we stuck with Imperial Civil War, which is what everyone knows now as Thrawn's Revenge. Welcome, Roland. Here's how you learned how to use this editor. Well, the editor, I just sort of downloaded it when it came out and played around in it. Same thing with learning how to mod. It was just going into the game files, changing what I wanted to, learning that way. All just trial and error. Yeah, so there were a lot of mods covering the Galactic Civil War era, and not many that were doing like the post-Endor era, at least in as much depth. So we figured if we were only going to keep one, we'd rather go with the one that wasn't going to be quite as heavily covered, and there was more options for what to do in that era. Like there's more different factions that are available, all the warlords, like the Empire of the Hand we could do more with at that point. The like the Hapens are a bit more active. There's a lot more options in our mind, so we stuck with that one. Right, let's get a little bit of extra texture stuff over here. And again, we don't want to do too much over on this side because it's off the map, so it's not the best use of our time, but nope. I started the mod when I was in like just about to start high school. I think it was like halfway through grade 8 that I started it, or like the last month of grade 8. Uh, and I was thinking about going into university for game design or anything like that, but I ultimately just went in for history and political science. So I don't really have any kind of professional or educational background in game design or anything computer science related. It's all just trial and error because this is my hobby. So think of mapping as a Coruscant map staying in ICW for now because I never liked the capital of the galaxy having no big citadel. It is for now, but the other thing with that is that the stuff like the Senate is a constructible thing. So I don't know if we'd actually change that and just leave it as a prop on the map again. I'm actually fairly happy with this area in here at this point. I do want to get a little bit more... Oh, not like that. That's too big for one thing. Oh, that's stretching way too much on the ground. No gravel. Will Father Republic use the same map as ICW for the planets that appear in both, or will they be different, e.g. Coruscant being the Jedi Temple instead of the city? No, Father Republic will use the same maps for the same planets, unless there's a significant difference in what was going on. Like, I think Rogue and Evil Bob the Bob are going to be doing a new Coruscant map. I think that was their plan for their next collaboration thing. They did a new Moonlands map after my many comments that I hated the vanilla Moonlands map. And I think they've said that's what they want to do next. So that one won't be me, but that will be done. And then that would likely include the Jedi Temple as a prop, and because like the temple I believe was still there. It's just Palpatine used it as his palace, right? After, and I might be wrong about that. So like that kind of thing would apply for both as well. And that's honestly one of the things that to me is kind of cool about doing both ICW and Fall of the Republic is we can have some of those like cross-era references. So honestly, having more of that to me is the preferred way to go. Yeah, let's make this the Endor rock because we want this to look kind of like rock, but also a little bit grown over. A bit more maple trees. Let's actually make a little bit more of a cluster of these trees. Oh, I think this is for Kashyyyk or something. We made the really big citrus trees. Evergreens. What is this map editor? It's called the Empire at War Terrain Editor. So if you just Google Empire at War or Forces of Corruption Terrain Editor, it should be like the first thing you find. Is it possible for Fall of the Republic to go into the Republic, turning in the Empire like later down the line? I doubt it. We'd rather keep that stuff separate because we already have a mod about post-Endor stuff. If we were to do something about the Rise of the Empire and Fall of the Empire, that would all just be its own thing, rather than trying to combine it with Fall of the Republic. Alright, so since this is mostly done, we can get rid of that guy. Don't need the scale there. This is for Yaga Minor Callum. Okay, so I think our next little area will be this one. So let's get that list built up again. Yeah, don't want that. Get the maple, maple, maple. And citrus tree. How big are the indoor trees? Are they? Whatever. I do still want more maples. And again, this is going to be another off-map area. Did I? Oh, I didn't change it to spray. I'm an idiot. So we're going to do a little bit more tree cover in this area. Because you're going to be looking off and seeing it like that. I kind of want to obscure a bit of the mountain at the back. Here we go. And we'll texture around that. The Endor rock texture makes a decent transition between regular ground and the mountain, I think. So I probably try to use a little bit more of that. And Border Dragon, that's because the on-screen chat is pulling from both YouTube and Twitch. So the messages you're seeing in that are pulled from both platforms. Are you going to do a ramp? Well, technically that's... It's all a mountain, so it's all kind of a ramp. Alright, so I'm okay with that. And we'll do a couple rocks just in the front here. Let's go with some smaller ones. I'm going to try to front load this a bit more with the rocks so we're not putting it down at the back in the areas that people won't see, because you're only going to see a bit of an edge of this if you're coming up this way, which even then that'd be pretty rare. And if you're looking at it, like if you're doing cinematic mode and looking out this way, so you're going to see these rocks up here, but you're not going to see much that's back in this area specifically. So you don't want to go overboard on that. And the same thing is going to be kind of true with this whole area back here, where we're going to have some props and some of a backdrop, but it's not going to be too detailed. And we're also going to do a little bit of an incline out this way. So when you're looking at this way, you'll see what looks like the top of hills instead of just falling straight off the edge of the map. So for the areas off map, a lot of it would be the same, but for stuff specifically like ground cover, you wouldn't do as much of that, because that you'd basically not see at all, and that is a little bit more resource heavy. So like if you're looking out this way now, instead of just seeing off the edge of the map, like you can sort of see like that, like you can clearly see that this just goes off into nothing. If you're looking this way now, It's a bit more like you're looking at some hills that are in front of the horizon. So that's okay. With the rivers, it's a bit harder to get around that. But that's also part of why we've got the mountain in front of it on this side, so you're not going to have as many opportunities to see off of it that way. Well, that's basically why we're doing that. So let's get our lining texture back in as well. We're going to go over to the point brush again. Or not point brush, the noise brush. Where is it? Nope. Noise brush. Nope, that's not what we wanted. Cliff texture. So we'll go back to additive for this. That's actually not what we wanted. We wanted this one. Head up that way, head up that way. And where's that other... this one? There we go. So first we'll focus on getting this part how we want it, because this is the part that people can actually pan over. This little grouping here. And what's the watermill look? I don't want to crash the map editor if this model isn't there. Yeah. We kind of want this to look like it's a stream up against the water. So first, let's change the wind direction. Sure. Is that what controls the... I forget how to change the water direction. I'm pretty sure you can. Hold on. Tilt angle? There we go. No, that's still going the same direction. Ugh. It's so long. Tilt angle for the... Bob. I'm pretty sure you can change that. I just don't remember how. But anyway, ideally, we'd have it going this way, and then we could use some of those props to make it look like it's sort of coming up against the rocks, if you know what I mean. The way the angle the water scrolls at. I wanted to go that way. I'm pretty sure you can change that. I just forget how. No, it's not size. There we go. Thank you. All right, so we want to change the tilt angle for that. That it actually looks like it's going the right way as well. There, that's better. Velocity. Okay. There you go. So now the stream mostly looks like it's following the direction we'd want. Got that set up. We've got... Oh, let's get a couple of these trees over here as well. I'm going to use the clusters actually for a lot of this because again, this is all just stuff you're going to see at a distance off screen. So having some denser props helps. Having some more stuff just so the main focus is to block out the background. This is also where you'd put an Easter egg. I don't see the forest cover prop. I don't like it very much. It always looks weird to me unless you're doing like super dense forest in front of it. Otherwise, it's always really obvious that they don't have any branches or stems or anything. So we'll probably use some at the back over here because I intend for this to be a bit more of a foresty area. Because we have a bit of an incline here. I'm going to put the abandoned sensor array here because every map needs that. And then we'd have like forests out behind it. That's basically how that's going to work. But for now, we've got a decent start on this guy. Alright, so that's about an hour. So I think we got a good amount done today. I'm pretty happy with this section at least. So I think we're going to leave it there for tonight. We are going to be back on next Monday with it. I think the way we're going to handle this is just as a stand-in for our Monday night modding. This is what we're going to be working on for the next couple Monday night moddings. I'm going to do a little bit of stuff between the streams, just... I'm going to try to focus on a different thing each time. Like last time we focused on the terrain layout. This time we've done a bit of the texturing and the props for that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit more of that as we go over here. And then next time I'd like to focus a bit more on the base up here if we can. So I might do a little bit more of the texturing up the hill, get all that sorted out so we're free to move on next time. And then we'll hopefully be down to like... I'm going to try to get this done in 3 more streams time. So by next week, or by next month rather. And then we'll get into some other stuff with the Monday Night Modding, which clearly it's Wednesday night, but this will be next Monday. Also, for those of you who want to come out, there is going to be the 12-hour celebration of 10,000 subscribers. So that stream is going to be going on Saturday. That's going to be 12 p.m. EST until 12 a.m. EST on the next day. So I'm going to put up more of a schedule for that, and I'm also going to do the results of the AMA last time. If you continue working on this map, do you plan on adding it? Yeah, so the intention with this map is for it to be in as the Yaga Minor map for Imperial Civil War, and if Yaga Minor's in Fall of the Republic there as well. And probably it'll be used on a few other planets until, usually one other planet, until we can get a map for whatever planet that is. But again, so thanks for coming out, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this series so far, and I will see you next time.